What's the difference between this and this? This one isn't real, it is made from clay. In this video, I'll show you how to make realistic stones for your diorama. Super easy, no sculpting skills required. And perfect if your clay has turned into a sad little brick. So, let's make some stones. Hello and welcome back to Arvania Constructions. You are maybe familiar with that moment, when you finally sit down to sculpt again after a while. Finally getting back at it after you've been busy with other things. You clean your table, you lay out your craft mat, neatly place your sculpting tools and all the belonging things. You open your clay that's been sealed in an airtight bag for a while now. And then you realize, damn, my clay is dried out. Well, I've got you covered. Instead of throwing your clay away, we can use it effectively. I originally intended to sculpt some pumpkin stems for my pumpkin mushrooms, but my clay was too dry to sculpt them. Then, out of the sudden, I accidentally discovered a technique that turns dried clay into realistic looking stones. All you need is old, almost dried out clay. Honestly, the worse it is for sculpting, the better it is for making stones. Look at this texture. It already has this layered, rock-like appearance. By ripping the clay apart, I can easily create realistic stone shapes. This simply tears off the individual stones. If your clay is still too soft, you'll notice immediately. It won't tear like this, it'll just squish and deform. I'll just keep ripping these pieces apart. You will get a feel for it pretty quickly. There's not much you can control here. The majority of the shapes form completely by chance. And here are all the stones I got from this brick of clay. They come in different shapes and sizes, just like the real ones. Alright, let's paint our first rock, so you can see how quick and easy it is. Once it's fully dry, I start with a warm grey base coat. After that, I go in with a light grey dry brush. And fun fact, the more disgusting your brush looks, the better it works. This step instantly brings out all the raised details and makes the stone look more realistic. But I will go into greater detail about this later. Now for the washes. I'm using black, sepia and a medium brown. You don't need fancy pre-made washes, just thin down your paint with water. Vallejo paints are highly pigmented, which means they can be diluted a lot without losing their intensity. I place the colors in different areas and let them blend naturally on the surface. That way the stone gets this more organic, uneven coloring, because real rocks are never just one flat shade of grey, they have up to 50 and more. Once it's dry, I add one more final dry brush layer to bring back the highlights. And that's it, our first stone is done. And when compared to a real one, it looks pretty good. Now for the foam clay. While the green air dry clay from before was a very dense material, foam clay behaves quite differently. Foam clay is pretty much squishy and soft air dry clay. It is much lighter and yes, unfortunately, it dries out as well, even when put in an air dry bag. But instead of drying evenly, it usually goes through different stages. Some parts are already dry, while others are still flexible and usable for sculpting. Even after drying, foam clay is still squishy. You don't want clay that's still soft and stretchy like this. But if it snaps when you bend it, that's perfect. And if it feels like it's fighting back when you pull it apart, even better. The big advantage here is that even when the foam clay is completely dried out, it can still be torn apart. Unlike the dense air dry clay from earlier, which eventually just turns into a solid block. At that point you can simply tear it apart, the same way as before. And see, that's a nice texture. Tearing creates organic edges and natural fractures. And it instantly looks more realistic than anything you could sculpt. And this is what we end up with. A whole new batch of stones, all different in shape and size. Here's a look at all the stones we've made so far. From the big and small air dry clay stones in green, to the foam clay stones also in various sizes and colors. The difference is, Regular air dry clay gives you layered, natural fracture lines, while foam clay gives you a porous looking rock. Let's test out these stones in a diorama. For the base, I make use of this coaster. If you've made stones from different types of clay, you can easily mix them to add more variation and visual interest to your terrain. For this diorama though, I'll stick to the foam clay stones only. I always start with the biggest stones first. They define the overall shape of the terrain. Then I add medium-sized stones to connect the big ones. And finally some rubble stones. The small pieces that fill in the gaps and make the terrain look natural. You can create paths, ledges or even little crevices for minifigures. There's no right or wrong here, just do whatever feels right. Now I'm adding a texture paste. This gives the grounded surface texture and really helps to tie the stones into the base. It adds a natural grainy look that imitates dirt or soil. At this point I could easily make a whole separate video just about different types of texture pastes. Let me know if I should do this. I apply the texture paste all around the stones and across the entire cork base, until none of it is visible anymore. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure why I didn't apply the texture paste first, and then press the stones into it. That's usually how I prefer to do it. It works out the same. Either way, I can now press the remaining small stones directly into the texture paste to fill in the last gaps and bring everything together. Once the texture paste is dry, it is time to paint the stones we just placed. I start by mixing a warm grey using white, beige, brown, light grey and just a touch of black. Every stone receives a layer of this base coat, making them all equally colored. No matter what they looked like before, it creates a good starting point for the next steps. Now I just dab on a sandy mud grey to create a natural variation. Next, I touch up the edges of the base with a dark brown before going over to painting the ground itself, using tones that match and complement the stones. Now it's time for dry brushing. And just as I mentioned in the beginning, dry brushing works best when your brush is kind of ugly. Dab your brush into a small amount of paint, then dab it onto a paper towel to get most of it off. It might sound silly, but trust me, it works wonders. The key is to use a brush with stiff, warm bristles. Sweep it lightly over the raised surfaces of the stones. This instantly highlights the textures and brings out all the little details. Just make sure you don't have too much paint left on your brush. You can directly see the difference after just a few strokes of dry brushing. The more worn out and flattened the bristles are, the better it works. I actually keep one brush just for dry brushing, and I barely ever wash it. I just let it dry out after I'm done, and over time it turns into the ultimate dry brush tool. Don't forget to dry brush the base too. Here I use a warm beige, which highlights the texture of the paste that ties the whole scene together. Now it really looks like a sandy, dusty piece of land. Now for the most crucial step of painting. To add more depth and variation, I use washes in 3 colors, just like before: black, sepia and brown. As I mentioned before, you don't need pre-made washes, just thin down your paint with a bit of water. If you fancy and have pre-made washes, even better. I apply each color to different areas of the stones and let them blend naturally as I go. I also pay attention to natural crevices and cracks. That's why I add darker brown or even black. Real rocks are never just one flat color, and this is exactly how you can replicate that effect. Some stones receive more beige and brown, while others get more of the black wash. Just become the stone. This is your world, and these stones follow your rules. You could definitely add more highlights at this stage, but I felt the stones already looked just right, so I kept it optional. And this is the final result. All the stones are painted and fully blended into the diorama. You could absolutely add moss or grass around them, but I wanted to keep things simple, so the stones can really stand out. It's nice to see the clay given a new purpose. If your clay ever dries out, don't panic. Now you've got your own stone material and the knowledge to use it. If this video helped you or gave you an idea for your own project, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more dioramas, sculpting and 3D work. Now I'm curious, what are you going to use these stones for? Thanks so much for watching. Until then, see you in the next one. Oh, and maybe save this video for later, just in case your clay decides to try out again.